let's talk about how to shop, or actually how not to shop, how to resist ads, and how to only buy what you need or really want. I've talked about this a lot of times, and I even thought that maybe it's not necessary to make this video, but then I think there's one crucial piece, and that is that maybe we need as much content talking about why not to buy things as we have advertisement. Because advertisement is telling us time and time again that we would be happier, that we would be richer, that we would be better. It would solve all of our problems. And advertisement is right in the sense that we need to hear a message multiple times to understand it and to actually believe it and to know it and to be able to use it in a situation when it's coming up. And honestly, it's also the request I get the most when I ask people what kind of videos I should make. So let's talk about new insight, tips, tricks, perspectives, and ideas on how to not buy things you do not actually want and need, and how to actually put your money where your values are, how to make wise purchasing decisions and be just in a good relationship with your money. But after this long introduction, let's just get started with the things that you can actually do to get better at this. One new thing. It's not new in general, but it's new to me, and I incorporated it more into how I try to not buy things, how to do my constant low buy, is knowing that it is also about dopamine. Now, I've been aware for the longest time that whenever my life is exciting and a lot of things happen and I travel a lot, for example, I'm not drawn to shopping as much as I am when I'm sitting at home, when I'm bored, when I'm even stressed maybe. But I think what it comes down to there is dopamine and related like hormones and happiness levels and things like that. So what we can do is trying and learning to get our dopamine elsewhere. So a lot of us learned that shopping is part of life and that shopping is okay, that retail therapy is a valid thing to do, that we can be happy by buying, that is enough reason to spend money. Just this little spark of dopamine, this little bit of happiness that we get from buying an item, not even the item itself, but the buying and the searching and the following advertisement and things like that. So what we can do is getting different other dopamine sources. As I said before, I think that can be traveling, but traveling is also expensive, and so I'm not even sure if it's better. In most cases, it's not something we can do all the time and whenever we feel like shopping, but there are so many other ways, and I think in the recent months, I've actually made a lot of videos that include a lot of things that we can do to get dopamine that do not require spending money. And I think that can be spending time in nature, spending time with friends, reading books, maybe from the library, because there they are free, as I learned in many countries, or in Germany it's just a small yearly fee that we pay to be a member or have an access card to a library, things like that. And I think during the recent decades we've not been encouraged enough to invest in that part of our lives, and investing in this case means absolutely no money but just time and effort. So I think it would be great, and it's something I'm trying to do, to nourish relationships in a way that doesn't cost any money, to nourish the relationship with myself in ways that do not cost money, to learn how to be in solitude, to learn how to just observe and be present. And yes, that can all sound very boring, but it really doesn't have to be, and we all can find the things that we enjoy doing. The only thing that's important is that they have our attention, that they make us happy in some way, and that they do not cost us as much money as we would spend shopping for things that we in the end do not need. Or maybe they can even cost as much money and we just don't end up with the clutter. But that being said, I think it also makes sense to have reasons and values to buy things. Like, know why and when you're buying something. Because I learned during the past few years, especially after being a pretty extreme minimalist and kind of coming back from that, not meaning that I'm not a minimalist anymore or that I completely changed my values, but I realized that after using the same items for many years, sometimes they break, or I have a new hobby and I need something new. And so there are valid reasons to buy things. As we all know, I think we all need to buy certain things from time to time, and that's totally fine. But I think when we try to not spend as much money, just not buy crap we don't need, things like that, then sometimes it can get confusing and we're not even really sure what is a justified purchase anymore. And instead of just always trying to like not buy things, always trying to talk ourselves out of buying or talk ourselves into buying because we explain to ourselves why we have good reasons to spend that money, I think it makes just sense to have a clear vision for when you're actually buying things and when that's actually a good decision. For me, a very recent example would be a new sleeping bag that I bought secondhand that did cost quite a bit of money, but my old sleeping bag was just too cold. And so I did freeze a lot of times. We were camping and it was just not a pleasant experience. And so this new sleeping bag, I think, was really worth buying because I really wanted and needed it. It makes my nights a lot more comfortable and I am using it a lot. And I think these are the reasons. Like when you really need something, or even when you want it, when you know it's gonna bring you a lot of joy, or you're gonna use it frequently. And there, of course, it also comes down to learning more about yourself and trying out and experimenting and kind of getting into a balance, because it's really easy to talk ourselves into or out of buying things. And here there's a video I can recommend you where I contemplate buying a very expensive thing that I don't really need but I really want, and it's linked up here, and you can kind of follow the whole process of me thinking about buying it or not. But then I also think it makes sense to have clear values and reasons to not buy things. And here it's not just that like, oh, I don't like all the crap around me and I kind of want to save a little bit of money, but there I do actually think it makes sense to make it more specific. And I think on one hand there it helps maybe to have a certain vision, like what kind of possessions do I want to own? How do I want to surround myself with things? Is this item I'm thinking about buying actually supporting the life I see for myself in the future? And the other thing can of course be a saving goal, for example, or getting out of debt, or something measurable that you can work towards, where not spending doesn't feel like missing out, but it feels like working towards a goal, something it adds up, and it doesn't feel like you have less, it feels like you have more. And I think that is sometimes missing when we talk about like not wanting to buy crap. It just feels like we're missing out if we don't buy anything, but that's not true. And here I think I do have to add a thing that I've said a few times now, but I think it's just so really important. And that goes deeper into why it's not true that we don't have anything if we don't buy the thing, because that's never the case. I think it's kind of neutral, because money is just able to buy you something, but then you don't have the money anymore. I guess that is very clear. But that also means by buying something, by giving away the money and taking the item, you're kind of turning a possibility or an option or a certain kind of freedom into something specific, this item. And sometimes it makes sense to buy it, but in a lot of cases it doesn't. And in a lot of cases we would have more if we don't buy it, because we have the space, the time, the money, and the option to still buy something if we actually really know we're gonna use and need and love it. And then another thing that I often thought of very critically, but now I actually think it's a very valuable tool, and that is gamify the whole thing. Like, no matter if you're doing a no buy, if you write down what you buy, if you have like a wait period until you are able to buy something, while I think that it would ideally be great if we could live a very low cost, low spend, intentional lifestyle without any rules, I do think these rules can actually help a lot. So we're here, you're watching this video maybe because you watch all of my videos, or because this subject kind of speaks to you. You kind of think your relationship with buying things could be better. I think most of us feel that way. And there I think that rules could maybe help. Now, I'm not speaking about a ton of rules that make stuff complicated and feel exhausting, but I'm just thinking of gamifying in a way that makes it more likely for you to succeed. Because I do think, as I said before, when we're not just thinking about either I can buy this thing or I have nothing and I feel like, oh, I would have been happy if I bought it, but no, I didn't buy it and I have this money, but I still feel bad and I still want to buy stuff. Because if we're gamifying it, we're again building up something. So we're, for example, building up the number of days we did not buy anything impulsively, or we're building up the amount of money that we're saving because we did not buy crap. And things like that can really help. So I think it's the same when you do a low buy or a no buy. You even get a community on YouTube where other people have the same experiences and the same struggles, and you can relate to each other and you can play it in a way where you set yourself a certain period of time, and then if you like get through it, you can celebrate and you can feel proud of yourself. And I think this aspect makes it more likely to succeed. All of this said, I do think you and I and everyone needs to find like an individual solution. We all have a different budget. We live in a different country. We have different salary. We have different costs. Our lives are different. And while I do not want money to be important, it still kind of is. And it can make our life so miserable if we do not have enough of it. But it can be such a great resource if we're somehow able to get enough of it and then keep enough of it. And then of course that has limitations, because I do not believe in billionaires and I don't think accumulating just huge amounts of money is ethical or will lead to happiness. What we're talking about here is to eliminate stress about money, eliminate stress with clutter, and make ourselves maybe freeing ourselves a little bit from advertisement and from feeling the need to spend, even if we know subconsciously or consciously that it's not going to make our life better. Now I would be really interested to hear from you what your best tips are and how you're avoiding impulse purchases, how you're avoiding just buying something because you saw an ad or you saw an influencer advertise for it. And like that, I think we can really help each other out, because I think it's in our best interest to put your money where our values are, where it will lead to a better future for us and the planet and the people around us, instead of just, going to some billionaire. With that said, I'm at the end of this video, and thank you so much for watching. I do want to link you a video here that you can check out now, and I do also want to say thank you so much to all of my patrons who put their money towards my success. Thank you. And also thank you if you have watched the video until now, because that really also helps me out. I hope to see you there or in my next video. Goodbye.